Thank you, Madam Acting Deputy President. And let me at the outset note how wonderful it is that Brisbane has secured the Olympic Games for the year 2032. And if I could pay tribute to my great friend Graham Quirk, ex-Lord Mayor of Brisbane, who was one of the visionaries and probably the leading visionary in terms of identifying this opportunity after Brisbane had staged the G20 conference to saw this as an opportunity to keep Brisbane on the world map. And I pay tribute to Graham Quirk. I also pay tribute to the current Lord Mayor of Brisbane, Adrian Schrinner, and also to my good friend Ted O'Brien, MP, the member for Fairfax, for all of the great work he's done behind the scenes. And I'm very confident, Madam Acting Deputy President, as we go through this process, that all three levels of government, whatever their political persuasion at local level, state level and federal level, will work cooperatively together to take advantage of this fantastic opportunity. And someone we're seeing take advantage of a fantastic opportunity is Mr Peter Boll, who is in the 800 metres final tomorrow night at 10:05 p.m. This is the first time since 1968 that Australia has had a finalist in the 800 metres at the Olympics. And Peter Boll's story is just so Australian. He came to this country as a young man, as a refugee, and like refugees who've come to this country from Vietnam, from Hungary, from the Baltic states, from all parts of the world, he and his family came to Australia to make a life for themselves. As Peter says, we came to Australia for the obvious reason. Australia is one of the best countries in the world. I've been around a few countries and Australia is the best country to be in, so my family definitely made the right choice. Peter's mother is Sudanese background and his father was also Sudanese background but came from that part of Sudan which has become South Sudan. And they fled Sudan during the Civil War and found their way to Australia. And I congratulate Peter in terms of his success so far at the Olympics, and we'll certainly be cheering him on tomorrow night. Peter's success made me reflect on an ecumenical service I attended on 10 July earlier this year to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the independence of the Republic of South Sudan. And that ecumenical service took place at St Paul's Catholic Church at Woodridge, south of Brisbane, on the 10th of July. And, Madam Acting Deputy President, I'm sure you can remember those scenes in 2011 when thousands of South Sudanese living in Australia voted in that historic referendum which ultimately led to the independence for the Republic of South Sudan. And we should remember the efforts that the Australian government went to in order to ensure that those people had an opportunity to vote in that referendum. And in fact, there were almost or even above 10,000 people voted in that referendum in Australia, the greatest number who voted in that referendum outside of Africa voted in that referendum in Australia. And some of those people were in attendance at the ecumenical service on the 10th of July. And I congratulate firstly Mr Sebit Rambang, who's the acting president of the South Sudanese Community Association of Queensland, Inc., for his efforts in terms of organising that ecumenical service. And can I say, Madam Acting Deputy President, he's one of the new generation of leaders coming up through these communities. And he's a wonderful, confident young man, Mr Sebit Rambang, and I really pay congratulations to him for actually stepping up to lead this association during these difficult times. He'd had a number of events cancelled due to COVID-19 lockdowns, but he persevered, and certainly this event, this ecumenical service commemorating the independence of the Republic of South Sudan, was a huge success. So I congratulate him, Mr Sebit Rambang. He's an outstanding young Australian. The service was led by Reverend Andrew Oyet, and also contributing during the course of the service were Reverend Kennedy Kenyi of Logan Grace Baptist Church and Father Stephen Kumyangi of the Upper Mount Gravatt Wishart Catholic Parish. And there was great strength and inspiration in each of the sermons given that day, great strength and inspiration in those servings, and it was quite moving. Also note that my good friend Pastor Moses Leth was also in attendance, and Pastor Leth is another great community leader in the Australian South Sudanese community, and he teaches language and culture to young girls and boys of South Sudanese ethnicity. Madam Acting Deputy President, after the service, those of us in attendance at the service proceeded outside to gather around an olive tree that was planted 10 years ago at the St Paul's Parish to commemorate the independence of the Republic of South Sudan. And I congratulate that initiative undertaken by Mr Gabriel Ukono with the blessing of Woodridge St Paul's Parish priest Father David Batty. And we stood around that tree and reflected on the 10 years of independence of the Republic of South Sudan. Madam Acting Deputy President, after that commemoration, and probably there were many highlights on that day, but one of the highlights was video tributes were given by a lot of the members of the community, and a lot of the young members of the Australian South Sudanese community outlined their aspirations for the independent Republic of South Sudan, which has been going through a great period of instability, which is felt keenly by the community here in Australia. And they also outlined their aspirations as young Australians in terms of how they want to contribute to our beautiful country and take advantage of all the opportunities which they have by living in our country. And it was quite touching and quite heartwarming to hear their aspirations, their goals, their objectives, and how they want to contribute to our society. So, Madam Acting Deputy President, one and all of us, all the members of the Australian South Sudanese community, but also all the members of the greater Australian community, one and all united, will all be cheering Peter Bowl when he runs in the 800-metre final tomorrow night, and he'll be running with the best wishes of everyone in our beautiful country.